Welcome back to the tropical greenhouse. It's as though we've never been away. I know it's been a few months. So I like to complain, as you know, if you're a fan of the channel. So we're going to talk about Streptocarpus because things are going wrong and I don't know why. I've got a few theories and I'm hoping that you can help me, if you're a Streptocarpus grower, to see if my theory might be correct. So I'll turn you around and we'll have a look at the not so great Streptocarpus. And for the first time in a while, we are in. So what you're looking at here is some begonias on the right there, a carnivorous plant, and some Streptocarpus. So let me just take you through them before we discuss what the video is actually about. So over here, we've got a species Streptocarpus. That's why it looks slightly different than the others. This too is a species Streptocarpus, a different one. And that one is as well. The rest, oh, that one is as well there. The rest are hybrids, and there are way fewer than I've had previously. And some of them are looking decidedly sad. For example, these three are looking like they're not going to last much longer. Those two aren't looking great either. And let's be honest, even the ones that are looking better, are looking a little greener than the others, or a little bit more leaf on them. It may be slight blooms on them, one or two. This is not the display that we expect by June. If I can find it, I'll flash up some pictures of what I normally get at this time of year in Streptocarpus. So what I want to do is go through what might be the issue. So I've had these Streptocarpus, or many Streptocarpus. I don't know which ones are the oldest and which ones are the newest, but I've not bought any for a long time. So some of these I may have had 6 or 7 years. You wouldn't think it looking at them, but every year I tend to give them a clean out, possibly a pot up, possibly removing some of the rosettes and so on. So you'll find loads of videos on this channel where they look absolutely amazing, and I really thought I cracked the code up until the last couple of years when things started to head south. So what might have happened? Well, first of all, as you may know, I'm not a botanist. I'm not an expert in this. I'm just doing my best, going along and trying to learn as I go. So yes, I have some videos where I'll be giving advice, or not really advice specifically, but this is what I've done that worked. This is what I've done that didn't work. So that's the way I approach this. I don't have any specific qualifications in this other than having grown them for many years and obviously learned along the way. No doubt I've forgotten as much as I've learned along the way. So what I'm going to do is go through various things. We'll start with pests and diseases. So when you have a certain plant, a certain genus of plants, and you keep them all together, like I tend to with these, just because the care is the same, so I keep them in the same place, or water them at the same time, feed them at the same time, and so on, you build up pests over the years. It does take a number of years, but eventually you get to the point where you get plant or genus specific pests. So in this case, I may have had tarsonomid mite. That's something that can attack Streptocarpus. Not really a great issue, just any kind of insecticide or any systemic insecticide will deal with that. I've also had the small bush snails that you get. They tend to kind of hide down the sides of the pots and they will eat away just at the base of the plant. And then you get this kind of thing where you can just lift it, and I've left this here just to show you really. You can just start to pull it and you think, yeah, there's not much root in that. And the same with this one. There's not much root in that. It's coming away quite easily as if it's being eaten away at the base. And that is what happens with bush snails. However, I'm convinced, and I know that I don't have bush snails because you see them, you find them. And if you empty them out of the pots, which I did through winter, you can see them hiding down the side of the pot. So they're easy to spot once you know what you're looking for. They're not easy to spot if you're not used to them. And the thing to kill them is slug pellets. It kills them really quite straightforwardly. It's the best way that I've found to get rid of them. And I got rid of them well over 12 months ago, and I've kept my eye out, no problems. Another issue might be vine weevil. Vine weevil like to get in anything like this, any kind of pot like this. Again, not had an issue with vine weevil for a number of years, but I'm still getting this problem. And the problem that I'm talking about specifically is this gradual decline, so that eventually this is what they look like. These plants look far worse than they did when I first bought them. It's not that they haven't grown and done well for me. They have. They've then started to decline, and that's what they've ended up like. And at this point you should expect loads of flowers, loads of bloom spikes, and I'm not getting it. And this is my question: why? So I'm going to put aside pests and diseases, because I feel like I've cracked or I have taken into account all sorts of pests and diseases, unless there's something I'm not aware of that I have. But most things, a spray of a systemic insecticide will sort that out. So we'll put pests and diseases to one side. Second problem, the rosettes. Eventually the pots will get really full of rosettes, because each year you'll find that your plant will make more and more rosettes. This one has 2 or 3 in there. You can see all these pots are small. I have in the past had these up to probably 10 centimetre pots, and over the winter, or before winter actually, I downsized them all, because eventually they get to a point where they won't go any bigger. It's not that you can keep potting them up and up and up and up and they will just keep spreading and spreading. They do get to a point where they're happy. They like to be tight in the pot for a start anyway, but they do get to a point where anything above 10 centimetres, and I find that they just start to rot, because they're not filling the pot with roots, and the area around where the root ball is will get moist, will not dry out, and that will finish them off. So there is definitely a size limit to Streptocarpus. So my question is there a time limit as well? Is it that these plants eventually run out of steam? Maybe they don't die, but maybe they just start to decline once they've given the best for a number of years. And that maybe is something that I'm dealing with here today. So yes, we get these multiple rosettes. You can't just leave a pot with multiple rosettes. Again, eventually it will get so congested that you've got to make some room. So you either divide off that rosette into another pot, or you just cut the root ball, cut the rosettes out and repot them, divide them, repot them, and start again. You could also, of course, propagate the leaves, because they're very easy to propagate from the leaves. I've got videos on that as well. So the third problem in here that I'm trying to figure out what's going on is the environment. The environment has changed. So I now have this bubble foil insulation, which strangely enough I only put in about 2 years ago, when the Streptocarpus started to decline. I can't say for sure whether it matches up exactly, but they definitely started to decline roughly about that time. So how's the environment changed? Well, the bubble foil insulation has led to less light, more humidity, less temperature or fewer temperature fluctuations, not as high differentiation in that temperature fluctuation. So we're not going as high or as low as we did before. Streptocarpus in general like to be about 15 to 24 degrees Celsius, and that's roughly what these are. In winter they go down to 12 and they don't get that differentiation then, but that's never been a problem before. The light has also reduced. So let's think what might be good or bad in those different growth factors compared to before I had the bubble foil insulation on. Well, more humidity, that's good. These plants grow in South Africa, I think it's Eastern Africa as well, or Western, I'm not sure which, it's one of the two sides. And they grow in areas at the bases of cliffs, the edges of forests. they actually get a lot of humidity, or near streams, near rivers, they get a lot of humidity. So that's good. So increased humidity will not be a problem for them. Second factor, the fluctuations in temperature not quite as extreme. That's good. They don't like direct sunlight. They're not getting that anymore. They did get that before, the bubble foil insulation. They might have had some shading on, like I've got at the sides on the outside now, but they're definitely getting less light. Now, people tend to think of them as shade-loving plants. That isn't true. If you look it up, you'll find that they do actually like very bright light, just not in direct sun. They don't want to be burned because they will wilt very, very quickly. So maybe the light issue is a problem. Now, I do have blind you there with a grow light, but I still think the light level in general is lower than it was before I put the bubble foil insulation on, because I was having it coming in from the sides as well. So that's possibly an issue. Other than that, well, I don't know. That could be the thing. That could be the thing that's changed my fortunes with Streptocarpus. We've talked about the repotting ceiling. I think there is a limit. Maybe there is a limit to their actual age anyway. Now, I've not been able to find anything on this online, but maybe they only live for a certain number of years and they just keep producing new rosettes in the wild, and that kind of walks them along the landscape, as well as the seeds, with new plants. Maybe they only live 6 or 7 years. Maybe they do not go beyond that and then they start to decline. So that's another possibility. Now, how we untangle all this, I'm not really sure. My feeling is that it could be a mixture of all these factors. It could be that they simply are not getting enough light and may well try and get another light and try and improve the light situation and see if that does anything. I've also, as you can see, reduced them all to the smallest pot size so that they get tight in those pots. I may well, and I have been quite recently, quite ruthless and just simply thrown out any that just aren't looking good. I always have a little root about to see what's going on in there. Something else I meant to mention is that over time, roots inside a pot do rot. You can imagine if I take a rosette out, I'm not going to take all the roots of it out. So that's going to not only increase the amount of dead roots inside the pot, it's going to decrease the oxygen, it's going to increase the acidity inside the pot. So all these factors lead you to a limit for how long you can keep something like this going in a pot. Even if you up-pot it, you're still going to find, unless you untangle all those roots, that acidity is increasing. What am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to buy any more for now. I'm going to be quite ruthless, throw out the ones that are looking particularly bad, try and increase the light a little bit, or put them in an area that's a little bit more light, and simply grow something else for a while. Hence the Streptocarpus species. Thought we'd give those a go. That one's certainly looking like it's healthy. That one's certainly looking like it's healthy as well. So perhaps that's something to think about for future, and then I might start again with some new plants. They've given me I certainly got a good 5 years out of them before this kind of thing started to happen. So what I want to know is this something that you've dealt with your plants? Have you grown Streptocarpus for a number of years all in one space like this? Did you find the same problems as me? Does any of those things ring true for you? Or have you got a plant that you've had 20 years and it's still growing strong and throwing up many, many bloom spikes? I would like to know. And I'm just going to give you, before I go, a little very, very brief glimpse at what's going on, because you've not seen it for so long. It's a bit of a mess because, well, you know, I work. So that's just what happens with plants and hobbies. And we'll just quickly have a look over here. There's still plenty of plants in here, and no doubt everybody will say, what's that one there? Well, we'll talk about that when I make another one. And that, begonia lovers, begonia species, we'll talk about that another time. So I hope you enjoyed a very brief whinge about Streptocarpus and a very brief little idea and look into my head as what's going on, what's going wrong, and how we might try and remedy the situation. I think I've done all I can now. It's in the hands of the gods and I've just got to be ruthless. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye.